Welcome back, everyone. Here we are in between our first and second games. We did have a bit of an interview there with Harper, at least the mainstream did, and thankfully we had a bit of information given to us by one of our friendly staff here. Hina explained to us that well, first of all, Harp was attributing a lot of that success that game to Ebby in the top lane. They are Rock there who was keeping things together, and I'd say more than keeping things together with that particular Camille performance really popping off, winning the lane, applying the pressure. And interestingly, about that Baron steal as well, we said it on cast that they had no clue it was being done, no vision whatsoever. Turns out Steel just, had an instinct for it, decided to tell the team to go check, and perfect timing, Middlecott. We're back in time. We've just finished off, talking a little bit about the interview and the break there, and we can start moving towards Burning Core and Sengoku.
Because Burning Court and Sengoku, they look damn good at the start of this season.
True. This is not the same Burning Core and Sengoku that we saw last split here. Both teams have changed up 3 out of 5 of their members here. So unfortunately, Middlecott, I have heard of these epic games, with this particular epic game between these two teams, but I feel like hearing about it didn't do it justice. Part of me wants to see it happen again today so that, I can say I was there. But part of me isn't sure I'd survive it.
Does that M in your Twitter handle stand for masochistic? Like, seriously, like what is that?
It might stand for mad at this point. I'm not quite sure where it's going right here.
But they have been playing well. Having seen bangers from them, this matchup kind of feels like a bit of a litmus test for me, because Burning Core's strength of schedule has been pretty optimal for them.
Yep.
And Sengoku, obviously, they've had to play against DFM, but they did pick up that other win as well. Looks like a couple teams that maybe are going to settle out towards the middle of the pack. Obviously, they're both going to be wanting to push a little bit further than that, but as it stands, this is a matchup that I think is going to show us a lot about the actual relative power level of these teams.
Yeah, and you mentioned, that Burning Core, they've had a very easy strength of schedule so far. So 2-0, already better than what they managed to pull off last split, but obviously something that they want to continue improving on. And Sengoku is really just a step in the test here. They don't want to end it here. They need to move beyond Sengoku and beyond the middle of the pack. And for Sengoku, yeah, I think the litmus test sort of metaphor there is particularly apt for them, because they've played a bottom of the table team, a top of the table team, and we have no clue where in between they fall right here. Burning Core probably not the best test for it, but at least we'll narrow things down. A win here would say that, okay, we're probably top 2/3, and a loss here would instantly peg them as saying, okay, you're probably near the bottom.
You're probably there. And I don't really want to see that for Burning Core, because as we see the rosters on our screen here, with that Raifaki hanging around, Yuhi as well, Fujimoto obviously coming through from DFM Academy, and then that mid-jungle duo in Flawless and Dice coming over from Genji Challengers. And then we got the Sengoku lineup, who also looking pretty good. Real standouts, Honey in that bot lane. Jet had an amazing game on the Akali in week 1, has looked absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and I was looking at Burning Core's composition, the team composition here, not necessarily draft compositions to come through, because we don't have that yet. And I just find them such an intriguing team in a way. I was kind of hopeful for Flawless and Dice. I like the fact that you're bringing over a jungle mid duo who has had previous synergy together. And their hands have been good. They're the hands of the team. They've been making action happen. Their stats are generally pretty decent. And then you've got Yuhi and Fujimoto, who are kind of like the legs. They're the stable bot lane here. They're not doing amazingly well, but they're doing what they need to do, which is taking the turrets when they get the kills, which that's good. And then you've got Ray Farkey, who's, I want to say he's the head of the team. He's the brains of the team. Well, he's certainly been the guy who's been dragging them to the Nexus, which has been kind of important because sometimes the hands, they win, they get the kills. The legs, they want to get the turrets, but they're not getting the right ones. And Ray Farkey kind of goes, guys, Nexus, go to the Nexus. It's open right now. We got this. So I want to call him the head of the team. But at the same time, then I look at his laning and it's like, it's been a little bit rough in terms of the laning. And he's taking some really questionable fights. He plays it like it's always a 1v1, even when he knows the enemy jungler is nearby.
Oh, I mean, confidence is key sometimes, RMC. You've got to manifest the play that you want, not necessarily the play that is open and available to you. Talked a fair bit on Burning Core there. Want to kind of move over to Sengoku. This is an organization that has had a lot of historic success in the LJL, but recently not been performing quite as well. The moves that they made in the off-season I've been looking pretty good for them. Jet and Honey, two very, very important players that have looked excellent so far this split.
True. Yeah, and I think a lot of Jet's success has been somewhat tied to Once as well so far. The amazing Akali game also came off of the back of, I believe, a 0-1-14 performance from Once as well. You know, going to that mid lane, getting a ton of assists, getting that pressure down all across the board here. And so I see them as a bit of a unit, and I think success will come together. Honey, though, Honey's just been doing Honey things. It doesn't matter what's happening with the rest of the team. If Honey gets a hyper carry, something like the Jinx, that last game we saw come through for Utapon, I think this is a player who can just carry the team kicking and screaming to a win.
Oh, and he did that with Axis in summer. Somehow managed to take that team to third place come the playoffs, which I don't think anyone really expected from them at the start of that split. And it means that Burning Core have to take a difficult gambit here. Do you allow Honey to have the Zeri, the Jinx? Well, he's going to get one of them at least because the Caitlyn being banned out and the Xin Zhao removed too. So Burning Core leaving two very, very strong AD carries open, possibly looking to trade here.
And they're going for the Jinx. You know what? I'm okay. This is patch 12.3. Zeri got hotfix, shall we say, because she's going to get nerfed further in 12.4. And interestingly enough here, it's Yuhi's not actually going to go for that Zeri. They've handshaken the Aphelios for the Jinx. Once again, I am not a fan of this whatsoever here, Middlegod.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a takeaway with the Graves pick as well. Paz has played that a couple of times this split. Looked pretty scary on it. But it does open up counterpick options towards Sengoku. You could flex it into the jungle, but honestly, that's not really where you want to be playing the Graves at the moment. Thresh locked in here, a little bit more safety for Sengoku.
Thank you. And I love the fact that we are seeing the Thresh being picked up here. I know there's been a wave of Tahm Kench in the LJL for some reason. I'm not saying Tahm Kench is bad. I'm just saying Thresh usually does whatever Tahm Kench wants to do a little bit better here. So I'm very glad we're not seeing that one
that sounds like you're calling Tahm Kench bad.
No.
I think
he's probably like Braum level, like Braum's good, but if the Thresh is up, you pick the Thresh. And not only that, but they pick up the J4 as well. I really like that. I'm a big proponent of the J4 Thresh combo, especially on immobile targets as well. And yes, Tahm Kench can devour, save the Aphelios, but keep in mind, that's an ultimate now. You can't keep doing that on cooldown. You don't have to burn the Cataclysm. And if you do burn the Cataclysm, well, then I expect you to kill both the Tahm Kench and the Aphelios.
Yeah, and you can throw out a lot of that non-committal engage if you are Sengoku. Once Enti just keeps throwing out death sentences, At some point, Fujimoto is going to eat up Yuhi, and then the next one that lands, that's your go button here. Burning Core banned out the Corki and the Gwen in this second phase. A couple of champions who maybe were stronger on previous patches, but could definitely still do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think the Gwen's still very strong right now. Gwen didn't really get changed too much, but the Corki definitely did get nerfed a little bit. And there we go. There's the Akali ban against Dice. Pretty much a stock standard requirement here, considering how good he is on that Akali. 100% win rate still, especially when you've got an immobile carry. And they're going to go with the victor. So Burning Core looking like they're trying to fight front to back here.
Yeah, and still leaving their jungler, actually, for a potential last pick here, if that Graves isn't being flexed into it. What should Sengoku be looking to pick up now, RMC?
So the thing, Middle Cloud, is when you've got a Jinx, front to back is your playground. Aphelios can't actually beat you in a front to back, unless maybe with the Infernum he gets lucky and you kind of group up a little bit too much. But if you space appropriately here, you just go, with a tank in the top lane, Orianna in the mid lane. That's perfect. Akshan is not what I'd be thinking of.
We don't
here,
talk about
especially
hovers.
for
We
Paz.
don't talk about hovers just yet.
Okay, we don't. Okay, good. Because
I can't see it. I can't see it right now.
I don't think it's just a hover because okay, thank goodness. Okay, because I saw the Graves, and the thing is, Akshan is great into Graves. It's a really good matchup here, and considering how Ray Farkey likes to play, I can kind of see it, but I just really don't like it when you've got the Jinx, right? Like, pick a tank, go for that. The Gnar, to me, not a premier tank, but it is an LJL special, and oh my goodness, Janna got nerfed on patch 12.3.
The strategy isn't meant to work anymore, RMC. It's meant to be not quite as good. And as it stands, we've got 3 smites on Burning Core. I need to see how these all pad out. I need to see where the Janna's actually going before I start commenting on it. Sengoku, this looks to me like just the most stock standard front to back versatile composition. We've got a gauge, we've got wombo combo, we've got a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, for Burning Core, well, it's not even a double enchanter sort of composition either. So I'm still trying to decide whether I like this or hate this with the Janna pickup right now. Because I feel like a double enchanter composition would have been slightly better, and then you're all winning on your Aphelios being able to outfight. But at the same time, you did need some sort of front line, so you do need the Tom Kench to come through. Did they get the full time to switch back? Is that actually
that is a Janna jungle.
I don't know, Middle Cloud. I'm not. I don't know anymore. Can she even jungle?
Well, so the thing is, Ray Farkey has smite on this Graves as well.
Oh my goodness.
So are we just seeing these players role swap to? Oh man, I don't know.
You know what? Let's just talk compositionally here right now, because I'm gonna be honest here. I've never seen it. I've not. Okay, I think the last time I saw a Janna jungle was back in season 6 or something, and it was more of a joke thing than anything else. So I'm assuming that maybe Flawless is actually gonna go to lane, maybe, and then Ray Farkey actually starts jungling, or maybe they go with a double jungle strategy to share experience, but. Either way, the way this composition kind of works is, it's still your typical sort of smite support style composition. You sack a lane, you funnel someone else, and then you start grouping up, you apply pressure elsewhere here to try and get someone else ahead. Into the Gnar, it's not as perfect. Ideally, you want to run it into tanks who don't scale incredibly well damage-wise, but Gnar does scale up pretty decently with damage and can split push and take turrets on his own as well pretty comfortably, not to mention you're running into a Jinx J4 with Orianna. There is the risk that your carries get blown up right away and then Jinx gets to carry over the fight. So Burning Core, this is smite support on, let's say, hard mode. It's not quite hell mode, but it's also not your usual easy mode.
Well, the thing is as well, Ray Farkey's got a jungle item. This is a jungle Graves being played by a top laner.
True, yeah.
For me, that's kind of worrying, right? Because Graves is a champion who I think relies heavily on your ability to path intelligently. He can scale up very, very strongly, but it sort of depends on how big your jungle brain is. And RMC, don't get me wrong, I think Ray Farkey is a great player. He's a top laner, though.
I don't know, Middlecott, from your tone of voice here, you have about as much faith in Ray Farkey as I was having in Hawk's draft last game.
It does appear that we are getting a double jungle here. Flawless just helping Ray Farkey through these first few camps, then we'll head up towards that top side.
Why do I keep getting the Smite support games?
I don't know, man.
I had it on day one as well. But you know what? Actually, I don't... So with Ray Farkey and the jungle pathing here, I'm actually a little bit less concerned about it. I do think like how good you are at jungle pathing and ganking can be somewhat mitigated by having the roaming support as well, and you can brute force it. And if there has been one complaint of Ray Farkey, it has been that he plays the top lane like it's a 1v1, regardless of whether it's actually a 1v1. Now, this time, Ray Farkey knows it's never going to be a 1v1 because he is the 2 in this equation here. So I can kind of see it working out with his style of play. Maybe he starts showing up into lanes, forcing fights left and right here. But if that is how it's going to work, then I feel like it's up to the rest of Burning Core to try and get that gank set up for Ray Farkey, or watch as Ray Farkey slowly starts to fall behind.
And that gank setup could be quite difficult to find. Victor, not known for a champion that can provide all that much CC, that Gravity Field, so much more useful as a disengage tool rather than something that you can use aggressively to set up ganks. Once pathing towards this bottom side, will spot out Ray Farkey as he tries to take his blue buff.
I love this. They're picking on Ray Farkey. You want a role swap? We're going to show you the role's not that easy. We're going to bring back up as well.
That's actually exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing here.
And you love to see it, right? Because that's one of the things about the support Smite top laner as well, is that you want to funnel somebody. And if Ray Farkey's being set behind, the funnel's not as effective. It'll keep Ray Farkey in the game, but it won't be quite as strong. And speaking of which, here we start seeing the support roam already here, looking for Jet. But I don't know if Victor's the right lane to do this.
Yeah, absolutely not. Ray Farkey now jumped on 2x1s. Will quick draw away. Take a fair chunk of his HP bar as well. Enti with the lantern. Just brings his jungler to safety. And the Janna hasn't done anything crazy just yet. But we've still got plenty more time in this game for that to happen.
Fair enough. First roam, and you know what? Flawless still has some farm. Is actually going to push in a little bit here. And right now, Sengoku has been built out a little bit by their bot lane as well. Honey and Enti's perma push in this bot lane, this prio that gave them the ability to invade onto Ray Farkey here, to 3-buff Ray Farkey, and also the mid lane as well. We saw the collapse coming in, but because Enti was roaming up, that wouldn't have been the worst case scenario of a 4v3. That would have been a 4v4, and honestly, I don't think Burning Core necessarily wins that. I think it's a fairly even trade at this point in the game.
Yeah, not quite on that power level just yet. We've talked a lot about Ray Farkey and Flawless shenanigans. I want to sort of pivot away somewhere different. We did touch briefly on Honey and Enti in this bot lane, getting the push, being aggressive onto Yuhi and Fujimoto, which is something that we probably expected to happen in our production notes. We have just got written here, sorry Yuhi, Honey is just too OP, but credit to the Burning Core AD carry. He's been keeping up in CS. Yeah, he's not been pressured too hard. Hasn't lost any tower plates just yet. It's 5 minutes into the game, but it's not looking the worst.
No. And I think it's hilarious that we're actually highlighting that it's not the worst, but it is kind of true right here, right? And you will have your double support later to back you up. Honey and Enti, I mean, they're not actually far behind. Yes, they're down a little bit of CS, but it's just because of the way that the waves are moving right now. They're pretty much dead even, and I'm still favoring the Jinx though in this situation. I feel like it is on Yuhi, it is on Fujimoto to try and make something happen before that Jinx hits the power spike. Jet, dancing shoes on. Yeah,
and just walks away from that gank from Flawless, and we've seen time and again that oftentimes when the roaming enchanter composition can't generate these leads in the early game, once you get to the mid portion of the game, you're kind of just playing in a 4v5. It then gets slightly turned around at some points where you can end up with higher levels on your main carries because they're being funneled more of the resources. So it's definitely not a cut and dry strategy that you could say is either working or not working explicitly at certain points. But for now, definitely hasn't caused too many advantages to go in Burning Core's favor, and it means that Paz is going to take another plate in this top lane. Dice shockwaved under the tower, but didn't have the aggro, so we'll just be able to walk it out.
Yeah, I think came out a little bit early from Jet there. Didn't even really clear the wave, but you're okay, you're fine. And now this is an opportunity for Flawless here, because you say that, it's a bit hard to measure the success of a Smite support top laner, but I think one of the metrics you can use to measure it is how much pressure is that support putting down here. You want them to roam, you want them to be in other lanes, and so far Flawless hasn't resulted in any significant leads. This might be the first one we see here, an early-ish dragon here for Burning Core, but what's the cost and how fast is Paz pushing here? Can they equalize with turret plates?
Well, it's going to be close. That tower was getting very, very low. I think last time that we saw it on the minimap, yeah, there we are, 1 plate remaining.
Yeah. Oh.
And this Nara is a champion that can split push and continue to side lane. So this is something that is going to be in the back of Burning Core's mind, making sure that Paz doesn't get too far ahead once just stealing away the red buff there.
Yeah. 2 major buffs now stolen away from Ray Farkey here. And so we said before that ideally you want to run into tanks who can't take the turret quite this quickly here. If Paz manages to take that first turret before Flawless really has a lot of pressure on the map, there is the risk as well that Paz will start roaming in. And not only will Paz start roaming, but you start losing access to your top side of the map, and that could sort of cascade down into Ray Farkey falling behind, and then in which case it's no longer worth it because Ray Farkey isn't running a support item. Perfect timing coming here from Sengoku. Herald's coming up. Ray Farkey's behind and doesn't have a ton of mana. You also don't have the strength to really contest the entirety of Sengoku Gaming.
Yeah, and Yuhi being on the bot side too, there just really isn't a look in for Burning Core. And once this Shelly gets dropped somewhere, that gold lead that Sengoku have got for themselves is going to extend even further. No kills as of yet, but still 1,300, 1,500 gold lead for our blue side team, who will be looking to pick up their second win today, knock down Burning Core's aspirations. Flawless once again looking into the mid lane, but he hasn't got anything here against Jet.
Yeah, Dice still isn't ready either to really look for these fights. Now, I had actually hoped middle caught that we might see Honey being rotated to top lane after the Herald take, because they called Honey an NT up there. And one of the things you can do as well to deal with this sort of support strat is funnel gold onto your carry as fast as possible. Top lane's down to 1 plate. They could have given that to Honey. First turret, first break gold, as well as that extra plate. Sent Paz down to kind of hold a little bit and then rotate people down. Didn't quite see that, so instead I'd like to see the Herald being dropped in such a way to funnel that gold towards Honey, because right now you want to accelerate your AD carry as much as possible, especially when you called them away from this lane and gave Yuhi kind of a free 3-4 sets of waves there.
Yeah, and that can be impactful. That's a lot of gold, that's a lot of experience going on to this Aphelios Tower Falls. I believe that was in the top lane in favor of Sengoku, so do get that first break, a little bit of extra gold. Herald's still in the pocket of once, so didn't even have to expend that to take it down. 5 plates on this mid, 5 plates on this bot lane tower as well, and with 4 minutes until those fall off, there is a hell of a lot of standing gold that Sengoku are going to have access to.
There is. And Paz has Hullbreaker here, middle clock.
Dear.
They rushed a Hullbreaker on the Gnar as well. On the Graves, okay, that's pretty normal. On the Gnar, this looks a little bit new to me here. And with that call as well, there is so much gold for Paz to be able to cash on. That does mean that somebody's got to answer that top lane consistently, make sure that the wave gets cleared, or else losing an inner turret this early is going to be very, very nasty. Like I said, I'd still like to see some rotations coming in, send past that bot side, get pressure down there instead, give Honey that top lane if you have to, or even the mid lane here to push instead. Safer, more consistent, and it's really up to Burning Core to try and find an answer right now to what's happening. I know that, yes, they've got the Smite support roaming, but it's not panned out to anything so far, and they're falling further and further behind.
They are falling behind, but fortunately for Ray Farkey, he has been able to engineer himself a little bit of a CS lead up against once here, the Jarvan. Not the fastest farmer in the world, and that's even more impressive given the fact that 2 of his buffs have been stolen away. So despite that disadvantage that he's at, Ray Farkey still looking strong. A little bit of a... don't know what that was, RMC, to be perfectly honest. Jet,
looks like it's a bit of a bug.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of a bug. I think we should...
As a professional random minion on the rift here, middle, I can assure you that minions should not be doing that in the middle of the lane like that. That is
No one goes down on the back half of the play, and this is the pause that we got to before, so we are jumping straight to live 2 minutes in the future, but still looking pretty good.
Perfect timing. 2 minutes in a game like this, middle court is nothing, and I mean literally nothing. It's hardly any action happening, so it's perfectly fine. We're good to go, and Paz got out alive. It was a worthwhile trade. One for Dragon. Finally, we got some action. Now, Paz, though, in this bot lane, doing exactly what he did in the top side here, is just gonna keep on split pushing, and Ray Farkey, equal levels, but not in a good position to try and match the 2-item Gnar right here.
Yeah, has gone for that Stride Breaker, which not an item that we've been seeing all that much. I imagine RMC is that to index into this split pusher a little bit more?
I'm actually not 100% sure if that's the best split push item here, but I do think it's a nice engage item to try and punish whoever tries to match the split push, right?
Yes.
If it's the Victor, if it's the Janna, you get a way to sort of get in their face and stay on them here. And T just poking around a little bit in the mid lane. I'm not sure Sengoku is really ready to commit to this pass. Where are you going? Why are you going back top? You've been there before.
He wants to go there again. Had a nice time. Enjoyed it. Took down a few towers.
It's past 20 minutes. It's past 20 minutes. I can excuse it if he takes the hit at this point.
Okay.
They're going to get pressure here. But Dragon's about to come up once again here. And Paz does have the teleport, but look at the vision control right now from Sengoku. It's less than ideal. The only vision they have is from the rifts, from the Scuttle Crab. So you can't even TP onto that. They need to start making sure that they've got something for Paz to actually TP to.
Yeah, the vision is looking a little bit paddling pool, a little bit shallow from Sengoku. But if they were to give out this Drake, not the end of the world, would only be second of the game for Burning Core, as in goes once, Flawless has to flash away from the death sentence, but NT's just going to be able to keep throwing those out. This is what we were talking about in the pre-game. Doesn't need to commit when he lands these death sentences, but once he hits one on the key target and factoring everything in, the engage looks good. He can just go in and blow some people up. Honey taking a fair chunk in the mid lane, but we'll be able to heal that back up fairly shortly, I imagine, with the Bloodline. 2 items on the Jinx looking relatively relevant here. The fight is a little bit split. Mid lane priority has been secured by Sengoku as Ray Farkey is now being aggressed onto. We'll trade back with a couple of autos. Both of these teams just posturing so tentatively. None of them seem to want to fight.
Yes, Sengoku already blew the Cataclysm, so I understand that they're hesitant, but Burning Core aren't taking advantage. Dice!
Does Zonya's that shockwave, but is left out to dry. Burning Core secure the second Drake of the game, but Sengoku grab another kill, and they secure this mid lane priority. They might be looking to take this one down, and finally, one of our teams has made a decisive move and got themselves a very powerful advantage. Honey playing with fire a little bit here, and Sengoku with one off the table. This would be a bold start on the Dragon. Dice does have the TP when he respawns in 20.
Yeah, but again, the ward situation, middle court, it was Sengoku at Dragon, no wards. Now it's Burning Core finding to get wards down, but they found Flawless.
Yeah, Fujimoto does eat him up, provides a shield, but the target will be going down. The Infernum Moonlight Vigil doesn't quite take out anyone from Sengoku, and that means that Paz can just start going forward. Flashes on top of Ray Farkey, is about to go Mega as well. Could get locked up here, but will just be able to take that Lantern to safety. Baron was stopped by Burning Core, but they pay a hefty price.
Well, middle court, it looks like they were storing up energy during the pause, because we're starting to see action really pop off here in Sengoku. Good plays from them. They are going to lose this mid lane turret. The TP is barely complete. Oh,
but Paz might look to turn it around regardless. This Gnar is very strong. 3 items completed, and let's see how this one played out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just classic, right? They had to get the vision down, and even though you've got Fujimoto to try and devour Flawless out, it's been a while. The Cataclysm's back up here, and we've said this before. Yuki's got to get a perfect Infernum. That was pretty darn close, and even that wasn't enough to turn the fight. So Sengoku right now really punishing that Smite support top, which didn't work out earlier, and now doesn't quite have enough combat effectiveness here.
And I tell you what, on a team where we've been talking about Jet and Honey so much, once again, it's Paz who's making a lot of these aggressive moves, is finding a lot of these kills. Yes, that hook was all NT as Flawless. Oh no, dude. You can't walk up like that. You are not playing a Xin Zhao. Willful down for the second time this game.
Oh my goodness. And the good thing is at least the Janna is not critical to your Baron defense here. But the bad news is that Sengoku, Baron's optional right now. Paz is the win con. He's been doing this all game long here, just constantly split pushing. They just keep fishing around this Baron. Burning Core have to keep checking. They don't have the wards. I guess, okay, I said Flawless wasn't hugely critical, but the wards that Flawless carries is important. And right now, it's dark over at the Baron. Sengoku are fishing in the darkness.
And the crazy thing to me about that entire play is Paz was bot lane with no TP. Sengoku knew that they could just posture around that Baron, that they are stronger than Burning Core significantly right now, that they don't even need their top laner. He is in the fight now, and he's going to be going mega soon.
Okay, they did have the vision in there. They know Baron's being done. Finally, control ward goes in, but here's the engage.
Yeah, not onto Fujimoto. Only the Tom Kench, though, and he will be able to walk this one away once. Ganking on the side, gets the knock up onto two, and a Cataclysm onto a double as well. One pull back with a Shockwave as Honey grabs the first kill of the fight, but he's not going to grab any more. Yuhi going wide on that Moonlight Vigil could have been so big for Burning Core, but still, it's only a single pick, and Sengoku can't start the Baron, but they keep finding these kills.
Middlecon, it's been a single pick, but it's been a single pick 3 times now for Sengoku, and they can continue doing this till Kingdom Come. They're more than happy to just sit at the Baron. They just need to clear out the vision once again here, and without Dragon to distract Sengoku here, Burning Core need to figure out a better, more effective way to get in there. It's worth noting we are on a Hex Tech map, so the gates are available. They could look for a flank if they felt confident enough rather than walking through their own jungle. But the problem is they're not feeling comfortable enough. They're down now 7,000 gold. And I don't know if they could win a team fight, even if they could corral all of Sengoku into the Baron pit.
And the thing is, who's going to be flanking? Is it Fujimoto? I mean, the Tom Kench has got a knock-up, which can be pretty pog, but you're losing so much safety onto Yuhi, onto Dice, if the Tom Kench is not with them. Flawless? Are we talking Janasek? Is that the play that we need to make?
It might very well be. I think that it actually isn't the worst idea if Flawless can pull off the Monsoon Insect.
We are in dire straits right now, man.
Yeah, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel right now in terms of engage. It's basically got to be Fujimoto, right? And the rest of the team have to kind of set up the follow-up there. But if Fujimoto isn't the one initiating, and Fujimoto's not that tanky right now, they just don't have a good way. And that's what we're seeing right here. The moment Sengoku is set up, Burning Core just kind of left twiddling their thumbs half a screen away, trying to get in there, but not really able to.
Yeah, with Flawless already using that Shirelius very early, one of the few potential engage options that Burning Core have was stymied there, not available for that fight. That is going to be the third Hex Tech Drake taken this game. Third Drake in total for Sigma Grindset Sengoku Gaming, who are now on Soul Point and looking to contest Burning Core over vision around this Baron. They know that Burning Core can't just start this one up, and with this mid lane priority, they could rotate towards the Baron, they could rotate towards this tower. They really have so many options.
Yeah, and this is a difference between teams right here. Sengoku has options. They don't have to rush. They're firing the rocket for vision more than anything else. They just want to make sure they know where Burning Core is. And Ray Farkey trying to hold this mid lane turret could get dove.
Could get dove, but with the wave being cleared out, we'll be able to stand tall for just a little bit longer.
And Middlecott, we're right back to the Baron dance. Once again, vision just needs to be cleared. They're actually going for it. I think this is a little bit early. Step one is clear out the vision. They don't have control of that just yet. Now that they do, if they base here, they're going to lose all control again.
And that could be an issue, right? Because despite how far behind Burning Core are, they've still got a 3-item Victor, who's level 16. They've still got a 3-item Aphelios. These are not irrelevant carries. Yes, the game isn't necessarily set up for success as they're trying to make a play onto Jet here in the mid lane. Shockwave onto two, dodges both ultimates.
No way.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Burning Core pulled the trigger, but they're just firing blanks.
Is this the thing that Sengoku needed to take the Baron here without those two ultimates? The Moonlight Vigil is a huge engage tool. Yes, the Chaos Storm is a bit available. You can push them off Baron, but you can do that once. You get one shot at this for Burning Core.
Yeah, and look at Yuhi's summoners. Doesn't have any right now. This guy that needs to be a key carry for his team, that needs to be pumping out the DPS in these fights, is going to have a hell of a lot less safety and isn't going to be able to do it. Paz here just chatting in this jungle, honestly contesting the vision without a care in the world. Once again, RMC, we are back to this Baron. Can Sengoku finish it this time?
Yes, Burning Core, even if they know it's... No, come on, Sengoku! Okay, they could have. They just needed to stick on it. Burning Core actually could not quite push in. They did not have the inside track. Jet was doing such a good job zoning out with the threat of a shockwave, which just came off cooldown. If they stuck at it, it'd be gone right now. They peel back, and now, unfortunately, you gotta reset for this. Collateral damage is coming off cooldown soon. You wait any longer, Yuhi's Moonlight Vigil will be coming out, and then the engage is possible. Gravitum is up. Infernum is up. It's not red-white, but I think that combo right now is the stronger combination for Burning Core.
Yeah, you've got some damage that can follow it up from Ray Farkey and Dice, so just getting that initial pick I think is a little bit more important than necessarily having the optimal fighting guns. Burning Core were thinking about recalling in the mid lane, but once again Sengoku starting up this Baron. They haven't really got too much control about it, and their jungler is actually not in the pit right now looking for a flank. We saw him do this a few times against DFM, and it did bite them in the arse. Paz hopping over the wall here, crunching down, shockwave onto Dice, narring them back, but not hitting anyone with the wallop. Flawless, trying to reset the fight, but gets taken down. There's just too much gold in the pockets of Sengoku. 2 kills already, but Yuhi is free firing. Fujimoto forced to flash away as the Super Mega Death Rocket will not take out the Tahm Kench. And whilst it wasn't an even fight for Burning Core losing 2 members, that was still pretty damn good.
Yeah, but it's still a 2-for-1, and this time, I feel like I said this so many times.
Are they starting Baron RMC?
This time, they have to be able to take this, because Burning Core literally can't contest this one here. Ray Farkey is out. They don't have wards down because Fujimoto had to back, and Flawless wasn't there. It took 32 minutes, plus whatever pause time it took, Middlecott, but this might be the straw that broke the camel's back.
And this is how it happened. This is so creative from once. I really like this, just like pathing around, just not being where you would necessarily expect him to be, and that shockwave onto Dice was so big.
Yeah, and Fujimoto as well, right? Devouring Flawless bought them so much time. It gave the shields to Yuhi that allowed Yuhi to stay in that fight as well. If not, if Flawless got popped immediately right off the bat, along with Dice there, fight's over. There wouldn't even have been the answering kill, but it's still a 2-for-1, right? It's still not advantageous.
Once he's already used the flag and drag. Pops into the Zhonya's as well, just buying a little bit more time. If he'd gone down there, that would have been not quite disastrous for Sengoku, but definitely not in a position that they want to put themselves in. This is Hex Tech Soul for Sengoku if they can grab this one. Baron buff still on for a couple of minutes, and if they can grab a fight and a soul here, I think it is just curtains for Burning Core. They're undefeated right now, but if they want to keep that streak alive, they'll need to come up with something absolutely miraculous here. Jet positioning the ball very aggressively forward. Doesn't want to give Burning Core access into this. Flash over the wall, and Ray Farkey steals it! He's not even a jungler, man, but his smite is still on point.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe the way he flashed in there, finding a way around, but they're trying to cancel the recalls. Baron buff is still running here. Paz is in the base. Honey pushing down mid.
Well, Paz does take down that top lane inhibitor as here come the engages. Fujimoto eats up the Janna, but they're just going to be falling down. Super Mega Death Rocket not even needed as Flawless actually is able to run directly into the path of Honey. Grabs his second kill of the game. If Sengoku can't end here, then Burning Core have bought themselves another 5 minutes, but those death timers are really starting to stack up. Ray Farkey will be back in 10 seconds, but you are talking 20 seconds until Flawless or Fujimoto are on the map. Paz.
Yuhi and Dice, they're so squishy right here.
Looking for it. Mid lane inhibitor will fall. Ray Farkey is back. There's a lot of wave clear potential on this Graze, but is he going to have access to the waves to do it? That is such a big chunk from the command attack and the dissonance combo. Fujimoto here as well. Sengoku, are they going to commit or are they going to fall down? Ray Farkey somehow still alive on slithers of HP and with no shockwave. Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't connect either. Sengoku, yes, they're in an advantageous position, but they've just burnt a couple of key ultimates. Yuhi misses with that one as well. They're staying in the base for a while, but they will back off. Burning Core live to fight another day, but it's going to be a hard-fought one.
So, Middlecott, contrast this to last split. We're coming up to the 40-minute mark right now. And yeah, granted, there's been some, stressful moments here, but other than that, I've enjoyed this. This has been so clutch, and we get to watch Ray Farkey once again.
How does he get
here.
that? Oh.
There's no vision. Sengoku didn't realize he was going around. He took the shortest possible hop over. They still had the control ward as well. Beautiful, but the problem is, of course, as we saw, what happens after, right? Because Sengoku was at soul point, even if they let it go, it's not the end of the game, and they can find kills. The kills are just as good as getting the dragon, because you still have Baron buff. You get to push in either way.
I feel so bad for Flawless. He was like, yeah, I got a sick flash, Monsoon. I've got out of that one. And then he just sees Honey walking around the corner. Like, it is my time.
I have no sympathy for this, Jana. You picked the Smite support jungle. Let's remember, Flawless is a jungle. You picked this. You deserve everything you get for it.
Well, they may still grab the win, as Sengoku have not managed to win just yet, but it is going to be a hell of a task to stand up against this Narf 4-0-4. The Orianna and the Jinx are well and truly online at this point, and whilst Yuhi and Dice have got some strength to them, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to cut through this massive front line that Sengoku have got for themselves. Bot lane inhib is going to be the next focus. This is going to be the last inhib tower to fall down. The inhibitor is short to follow as well. Burning Core. They can't just keep stepping back. At some point, they need to go forward. They need to make a play. Onto Honey, onto Jet. Next tower number 1 is going to fall down. Sengoku, they're playing this out so slowly. They really don't want to overcommit, but Paz going into the Mega might change things. Big crit onto Fujimoto as... once he's actually going forward onto Dice. Uses the Cataclysm as well, but this is a split fight. Once it's going to fall down right at the start as Ray Farkey is kept alive. Shockwave onto 2, but the damage isn't quite there just yet. Paz stepping up, but he's tired on the Gnar. A little bit of time before he can go Mega just yet. Sengoku, have they butchered their chance to end?
A little bit. Once doesn't have teleport, so it's going to be a while before Once can rejoin the fight. They're relying on the supers here. They take the turret.
Yeah, Nexus Tower does fall down. Fujimoto is going to be going forward onto Jet, but he immediately gets hooked up. Exhaust onto the Orianna doesn't mean a damn thing, as that's the first kill in the fight for Honey, and now he could start to reset. Paz is going to go Mega, slam them into the Nexus, as Dice is trying to 1v1 the Jinx, but you don't kill Powder! Paz grabs the kill, and Sengoku, in what could only be described as a game of League of Legends, will take down Burning Core and go 2-1.
Oh, Middlecott, we get our banger between Burning Core and Sengoku, and what a way to end it as well. Hey, huge props to Burning Core, man. The score does not reflect the truth of the matter. 16-3, but Burning Core held out way better than they had any reasonable right to with some of those picks, and I had questions about Ray Farkey's laning. I guess we found the answer for Burning Core. Put him in the jungle.
Put him in the jungle. Do you know what? Do you know what? Credit to him. I could not tell that he wasn't a jungle. There were other issues with that game. There were bigger issues with that game than putting Ray Farkey into the jungle. It was a little bit resident sleeper for the sort of first 20-25 minutes, but really turned into a bit of a barn burner at the end there, RMC.
Yeah. Everything's fine, Middlecott. Everything's fine there. They were just building up to it, and... as impressed as I was with some of the plays, I've got to say, I was looking for Dice and Flawless to carry. Okay, Flawless had no chance of carrying this game because of draft. But Dice's Victor positioning wasn't it, unfortunately. Often did get caught out. Yuhi, much better positioning on the Aphelios, but it felt like he traded off survivability for damage. His Moonlight Vigils just did not land. And with that composition, they dropped it, unfortunately. We said Fujimoto's either got to be the engaged force by throwing his body in there. Happened a couple of times. Fujimoto did not make it back out. May he rest in peace. So it then relies on Yuhi to land that Moonlight Vigil with the Gravitum. And we just did not get to see that happen. The few times it landed, it looked really good.
Yeah.
But it was just way too few compared to what we saw come through from Once. Zero hesitation with those Cataclysms going in over and over again, and NT's hooks as well. Very critical towards the end to just zone out Burning Core constantly.
and RMC, just to sort of like cap this game off a little bit, we came into this one talking about it being a litmus test for these teams so that we could really sort of judge their level. If I'm being perfectly honest, after this one, my stonks in both these guys going down. Because
A little bit, yeah.
if it takes that long for either side to even generate some proactive plays, I get worried for when they match up against teams like Sengoku having to go up against the likes of DFM again. We talk about teams like Rascal Jester, Axis, who have been looking very, very strong as well. This series scared me in numerous ways, but mainly about how these teams are going to perform as the rest of the season continues.
Well, Middlecott, let me comfort you. Things could be worse. No, but more seriously, it wasn't really a good test for Burning Core, right? Because they decided to go with this support, smite, Janna, jungle, top, role swap situation. I still don't have a good read on Burning Core. Like you mentioned at the beginning, if they went standard, I think Burning Core would have performed a lot better. And as for Sengoku, it's true. Their early game, their lack of proactivity definitely was quite an issue this game. But the good things that they can take away, that we can take away from this particular squad, is that Paz on a Hullbreaker champion, he's really good at split pushing. Up to now, we've only seen him on the Graves. Turns out you can build the Hullbreaker on the Gnar, and it's just as good. So that's looking good. And Honey's positioning in the team fights. Honey, you said Powder just does not die, because Powder is the protagonist of Arcane. And sure enough, Powder did not die. Honey, 0 deaths this game. The positioning was good. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's some good positive takeaways from Sengoku here. Does this mean that they're a top half of the team, top half of the standings team? Probably not.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. And when you're talking about individual players popping off, completely agree with you. But I think to reiterate, team wise, not looking great. We're going to be popping. There is hope. There is hope. Let's see if it actually materializes into anything, though. We are going to be popping to short break now. Unfortunately, when we come back, we are not going to be on your screens. Infinite Dodge and Oka are going to be taking you through V3 versus Rascal Jester and Axis versus CJ. I'm excited for that one. Do not go anywhere. The LJL OU will be back.